it's not really me that's coming. The music's coming through me. The music's coming through me. Oh, I love that. I talk about that all the time. Guitarists and field guitarists and the ones who are not so technical and just the guitarists, they do the solos and these riffs, and they're just like they're coming from the heart, they're coming from the mind, they're coming from the soul. Not so much from the mind, because that means you're thinking a lot, but from the heart and the soul, they're coming from just somewhere deep down, and you just come through. It's a feel kind of playing. Yeah, you let that take over, and that's what he's talking about. Yeah, and I think again, this is DJ Shadow sort of homage to George Martin and everyone else, right? Who just let the music come out, come through. That's beautiful.
It's showtime, folks.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Into the Music. My name is Greg, and I've got a song request from Finbar. Finbar is really going crazy on my KoFi site lately with some really good requests, and so he's throwing me another one. Is it going to be good? I don't know. Could be great. Could be shitty. Who knows? So far, his track record is pretty good. But yeah, here we go. Building Steam with a Grain of Salt. That's the name of the song, by an artist called DJ Shadow. Neither the song, neither the artist. Don't know. Yeah, and Finbar actually says from his 1996 debut album, N-N-E-N, Introducing, calls that album a pioneer of instrumental experimental trip hop. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Now I'm intrigued. The bar is raised. I shouldn't actually read things like that, right? Before going into Finbar, you give me a lot of information, which is cool. Context is good, but it raises the bar because now I'm really, really intrigued. So it's got to be good. So is it going to be good? Let's see.
Producing.
From listening to records, I just knew what to do. I mainly taught myself. And, I did pretty well, except there were a few mistakes that I made that I have just recently cleared up. I'd like to just continue to be able to express myself as best as I can on the instrument. I feel like I have a lot of work to do still. I'm a student of the drums. And I'm also a teacher of the drums, too.
Assimilating and distributing all he receives slowly until it becomes a part of him.
that like a voice choir in the background and just filling that in. Just repeats that. Yeah, that's the golden ticket on this song. Oh, wow. Oh, it's a little bit of Isaac Hayes and yeah, Shaft. That's cool. Let me bring that back a little bit. I love when it just comes down to the drums and he's playing around with like, with the timing, just sort of repeating them. That's DJing at its best.
And I would like to be able to continue to let what is inside of me, which comes from all the music that I hear, I'd like for that to come out. And it's like, it's not really me that's coming. The music's coming through me. The music's coming through, music's coming through, music's coming through, music's coming through.
It has Stop It commercial coming up. What a revelation. Wow, that was wow. I really like that, like a lot. Um, it got better for me actually as it just went along. It wasn't bad in the beginning. I was just trying to figure it out. Um, it was a piecing together of things, right? It built, it kind of almost it sectioned off all these things. It kind of sectioned off the drums with, and I mean like what was pronounced drums, like with the choir, the boys, whoever was singing that, and then came like the drums and focusing on that and back and forth and like that and playing around with that, and then that sort of wah wah, the guitar, uh, and then yeah, it was just all these sort of multitude of like of instruments, but separate and then coming together at the end. That was really, really, really enjoyable. All right, let me put those thoughts together a little bit more and some information on the other side. Oh man, that that could absolutely be an earworm that just bores a hole in my brain. Doesn't want to ever come out. Anyway, I'm just like trying to bang my head. That would happen only if there was nothing else going on in the song. If it was just that kind of hook thing, I'd be like, ah. But the stuff that like everything else in that song, as I said before, like everything was pieced together, and you had all these different things. And what really I think what took front and center stage was the drums, was that drum track. Um, yeah, the tone of the drums, what he was doing with the drums later on, with the kind of like mixing, almost like as though it was like a jazz kind of song, where time is changing, almost like Take Five, Dave Brubeck and what they're doing later on with the drums, and it's kind of like throwing you off with the was it 3/5, 5/4, 4/5, 6/7 8/9 hut. I don't know, but it really was kind of cool what he was doing with drums there. And so that the tinkling of the piano right there, um, that was really cool. You had the wah wah sound, that Isaac Hayes shaft kind of, shaft, watch your mouth. That was pretty cool. All that pieced together was really, really, really a good song. You call it, is it a song? I mean, it's a song, but what is it? It's a piece. Yeah, a lot of pieces making up one big piece there. And it's really interesting too. When I was pulling up the information, I couldn't help but like notice something within Wiki that made me pull up something else. Um, it basically told me how this was something like Moby, because I remember with Moby, what the hell is that? I actually have it on my iPod. I just forget. It's him jumping up in the air. Um, it was that breakthrough album, and it was just taking old songs and then just sort of taking those recordings and making them into something else. And so it looks like that's what DJ Shadow did here. Took all these different tracks and pieced them together to make this song. So that's really cool. Um, yeah, I think what else? There was like an orchestra too, like towards the end. Um, that was I don't know if that was I think that was probably coming from synth or something like that. I don't think there was a real orchestra, but towards the end that was really cool. Um, yeah. So and it was mesmerizing. I mean, it really was. With that and that persistent sort of drum beat, that drum track, and yeah, it absolutely was. It was a mood piece. So Finbar, you did really well with this, and it's really interesting information that I got pulled up here. So let me go to Wiki, and first let me talk about DJ Shadow and Joshua Paul Davis, born 1972, better known by his stage name DJ Shadow, American DJ, born in San Jose, California. Genres: hip hop, trip hop, electronica, turntablism, right? Definitely did some turntable stuff with drums. Sample Delia, ambient. My God, they all these different names, genre names. They have a name for every single sort of everything you hear. Um, it's just good music, right? I think I've got other stuff pulled up. I'm just going to get into this is an interview that he did some years back. Oh, it's on NPR. Yeah. And so I had the transcripts here, and they get into this album that the interviewer describes as groundbreaking. Okay. And Finbar, you did the same thing too. So DJ Shadow is calling it a collage, right? Um, because actually the interviewer is saying, hey, all these sounds were sort of cobbled together mainly from old vinyl records. Um, yeah, in fact, almost every note on the entire album was produced that way. And so Shadow is saying, yeah, I call it a collage. I think that's the best way to explain it to people. It's taking little pieces from here, adding into little pieces from there, literally down to not just the drums from one record, but the snare from one record, the kick from another record, and making something totally new out of it. That is cool. I don't think Moby was doing that, right? I think Moby was just taking some old songs and just kind of dressing them up and making them into something else, wasn't he? Sounds like this guy really sort of meticulously kind of took little pieces here and there, as he just said. That's crazy, but that's genius that he was doing that, and he really, really, absolutely was like Frankenstein, absolutely created his own Frankenstein. And so they get into this particular track, and Shadow saying, "Well, it's a piano from a record by a guy named Jeremy Storch." One of the knocks on sampling is that, well, you just take famous songs that everyone knows and replay, the chorus over and over. In this case, I was taking a rather obscure artist. Part of the aesthetic is taking great moments from basically forgotten music history and reapplying it with a new context. That's why I love the Moby album so much, uh, because um, he got criticized for that. I mean, he got a lot of acclaim, but then there were also critics saying that he took advantage of those artists, um, and all. And I'm like, yeah, but they were in obscurity. They were just kind of living just in obscurity, in darkness. A lot of those songs I never heard. I think almost all those songs, um, except that one about God going to cut you down. If you go playing around with all the neighbors' wives and stuff like that. I had heard that song, but everything else I really hadn't. And that guy who's actually talking on the song, his name is George Marsh, a drummer that Shadow says from the Bay Area. There was an instructional record about music, and he was interviewing some of his favorite drummers from I think about '74, and so that's actually why that guy is talking. Uh, that's pretty cool. That really shows Shadow's really love for that kind of music. I guess jazz, like all kinds of music, and really I think honoring, right? I mean, he takes this guy being interviewed and he puts it on this album, on this record. I love that. I really do. And it's a great song. It really is. Wow. And let me just get into what they're talking about. There's actually lyrics. And this is George Marsh, the gentleman there who was talking, and he says, "From listening to records, I just knew what to do. I mainly taught myself. And I did pretty well, except there were a few mistakes, but are that I made that are I have just recently cleared up. I like to just continue to be able to express myself as best as I can on the instrument. I feel like I have a lot of work to do still. I'm a student of the drums, and I'm also a teacher of the drums too, you know. And then there's an interlude. What makes cancer tenacious? The moon rules the fluids, including. So this is not George Marsh talking anymore. Um, the moon rules the fluids, including the inner juices of human beings. That's interesting. That which assimilates and feeds the body. So the crab feeds his astral brain, assimilating and distributing all he receives slowly until it becomes a part of him. And then there's a break and it says Lexia. This is genius.com. I'm reading the lyrics from. I can fly to the strangest lands, starry eyes, brown smiling face. Right. There was a woman who was actually singing, right? Is that Is that Lexia? And then outro, George Marsh comes in again. And I would like to be able to continue to get to let what is inside of me, which comes from all the music that I hear, you know, I'd like for that to come out. And it's like, it's not really me that's coming. The music's coming through me. The music's coming through me. Oh, I love that. I talk about that all the time. Guitarists and field guitarists and the ones who are not so technical and just the guitarists, they do the solos and these riffs, and they're just like they're coming from the heart, they're coming from the mind, they come from the soul. Not so much from the mind, because that means you're thinking a lot, but from the heart and the soul, they're coming from just somewhere deep down, and you just come through. It's a feel kind of playing. Yeah, you let that take over, and that's what he's talking about. Yeah, and I think again, this is DJ Shadow sort of homage to George Marsh and everyone else, right? Who just let the music come out, come through. That's beautiful. Hey, Finbar, this is great. I really, really, really like this a lot. Um, what else is out there from DJ Shadow? Put in the comments. Everyone out there, if you like this, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see all of you on next episode of Into the Music.